1 Samuel 14. A detachment of the Philistine went out to the pass of Michmash, and it came to be one yom that Jehonathan, son of Shaul, said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, and let us go over to the outpost of the Philistine, which is on the other side." But he did not inform his father. And Shaul remained at the outskirts of Gibeah, under a pomegranate tree, at Migron. And the people who were with him were about 600 men. And Achiah, son of Achitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Pinechas, son of Ali, the priest of Yahuah in Shiloh, was wearing a shoulder garment. And the people did not know that Jehonathan had gone. And between the passes, by which Jehonathan sought to go over to the outpost of the Philistine, there was an edge of a rock on one side, and an edge of a rock on the other side. And the name of one was Botsets, and the name of the other Seneh. The one edge was on the north opposite Michmash, and the other on the south opposite Gibeah. And Jehonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, and let us go over to the outpost of these uncircumcised. If so be, Yahuah does work for us. For there is no hindrance for Yahuah to save by many, or by few." And his armor-bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart, incline yourself. See, I am with you, according to your heart." And Jehonathan said, "See, we are passing over to the men, and show ourselves to them. If they say this to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we shall stand still in our place, and not go up to them. But if they say this, 'Come up to us,' then we shall go up. For Yahuah has given them into our hand, and this is the sign to us." And both of them disclosed themselves to the outpost of the Philistine. And the Philistine said, "See, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden." And the men of the outpost called to Jehonathan and his armor-bearer, and said, "Come up to us, and let us teach you a lesson." Then Jehonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come up after me, for Yahuah has given them into the hand of Yisharal." And Jehonathan climbed up on his hands and knees, with his armor-bearer after him. And they fell before Jehonathan, and his armor-bearer was putting them to death behind him. And that first slaughter, which Jehonathan and his armor-bearer made, was about 20 men in about half an acre of land. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The outpost and the raiders also trembled, and the ground shook, and it became a trembling of Elohim. And the watchmen of Shaul in Gibeah of Benjamin looked and saw the throng melting away, and they went here and there. And Shaul said to the people who were with him, "Please inspect and see who has gone from us." So they inspected and saw that Jehonathan and his armor-bearer were missing. And Shaul said to Achiah, "Bring the ark of Elohim here." For the ark of Elohim was with the children of Yisharal on that yom. And it came to be, while Shaul talked to the priest, that the noise which was in the camp of the Philistine went on, and became great. So Shaul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." And Shaul was called, and all the people who were with him, and they went to the battle. And see, every man's sword was against his neighbor, a very great confusion. And the Hebrews who were with the Philistine before that time, who went up with them into the camp, turned round, they too, to be with Yisharal, who were with Shaul and Jehonathan. And all the men of Yisharal, who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim, heard that the Philistine fled, and they also pursued them in the battle. Thus Yahuah delivered Yisharal that yom, and the battle passed over to Beit Awen. And the men of Yisharal were distressed that yom, for Shaul had placed the people under oath, saying, "Cursed be the man who eats food until evening, and I have taken revenge on my enemies." Therefore none of the people tasted food. And all they of the land came into the woods, and there was honey on the ground. And the people came into the woods, and saw the honey, dripping. But no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jehonathan had not heard that his father had taken an oath of the people. And he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes lit up. Then one of the people said, Your father strictly took an oath of the people, saying, Cursed be the man who eats food today. And the people were weary. And Jehonathan said, My father has troubled the land. Now see how my eyes lit up when I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had well eaten today of the spoil of their enemies, which they found. For then would not the slaughter among the Philistine have been greater? And they smote the Philistine, that Yom, from Michmash to Ayalon. So the people were very weary, and the people pounced on the spoil, and took sheep and cattle and calves, and slaughtered them on the ground. And the people ate with the blood. And they told Shaul, saying, Look, the people are sinning against Yahuah by eating with the blood. And he said, You have acted treacherously. Roll a large stone to me today. And Shaul said, Scatter among the people, and say to them, Each one bring his ox near to me, and each one his sheep, and you shall slaughter them here, and eat, and do not sin against Yahuah by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him, that Lila, and slaughtered it there. And Shaul built an altar to Yahuah. It was the first altar he built to Yahuah. And Shaul said, Let us go down after the Philistine by Lila, and plunder them until the morning light, and not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seems good to you. But the priest said, Let us draw near to Elohim here. And Shaul asked of Elohim, Should I go down after the Philistine? Do you give them into the hand of Yisrael? But he did not answer him that Yom. And Shaul said, Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as Yahuah lives, who saves Yisrael, though it be in Jehonathan, my son, he shall certainly die. But not one among all the people answered him. And he said to all Yisrael, You be on one side, and my son Jehonathan and I be on the other side. And the people said to Shaul, Do what seems good to you. Then Shaul said to Yahuah Elohim of Yisrael, Give a perfect lot. And Shaul and Jehonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Shaul said, Cast lots between my son Jehonathan and me. And Jehonathan was taken. Shaul then said to Jehonathan, Explain to me what you have done. And Jehonathan explained to him, and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. See, let me die. And Shaul answered, Elohim do so, and more also, for you shall certainly die, Jehonathan. But the people said to Shaul, Should Jehonathan die, who has wrought this great deliverance in Yisrael? Far be it. As Yahuah lives, let not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has wrought with Elohim this Yom. Thus the people delivered Jehonathan, and he did not die. And Shaul returned from pursuing the Philistine, and the Philistine went to their own place. And Shaul took the reign over Yisrael, and fought against all his enemies round about, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the kings of Tzobah, and against the Philistine. And wherever he turned, he inflicted punishment. And he gathered an army, and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Yisrael from the hands of those who plundered them. And the sons of Shaul were Jehonathan, and Yishwi, and Malchishua. And the names of his 2 daughters were these, the name of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. And the name of Shaul's Asha was Achinoam, the daughter of Achimaaz. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, father is Light, son of Ner, uncle of Shaul. And Kish was the father of Shaul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. And there was fierce fighting against the Philistine all the Yomim of Shaul. And when Shaul saw any mighty man, or any brave man, he took him for himself.